Welcome to a special edition of Jesse Watters on a Friday. I'm Pete Hegseth. Now, nobody likes to show off, but we all know someone who just loves to rub it in.
I haven't had a carb since 2004. Check these out. See these? See these, boys? This is what I live with every day. I lather this up with Kiehl's in the shower. You want to touch this? No. You want to touch these bad boys? Sorry, not gonna happen.
Not gonna happen. And there's no one in Washington who loves to rub things more than Joe Biden.
I'm going to be fine with your jokes, but I'm not sure about Dark Brandon.
You see, but Joe was never laughing with us. Joe was laughing at us. And he's been laughing since the moment he stepped into the White House. But nothing like we saw last night. While Joe was welcoming the Prime Minister of India to a state dinner, you won't believe who was in the crowd, rubbing elbows and shaking hands with his fellow so-called Washington elite. And that's Hunter Biden. He was at the White House just like it was any ordinary week. Have you ever seen someone fresh off of federal charges smile this much with fake teeth? Well, you've probably never met a Biden. If your last name is Biden, you can dodge your taxes and wave an illegal gun in the face of prostitutes while high on coke. And you'll get the sweetheart deal of the century. But if you're a law-abiding gun owner, the FBI will come guns a-blazing and take away your guns. So why was Hunter at the White House anyway?
The president invited his son Hunter to the state dinner last night. I'm wondering if you could take us into the thinking and decision-making of why the president decided to invite us.
I'm just not going to get into family discussion, personal family discussion. As you know, Hunter is his son. I'm just not going to get into it.
Let me ask you this. If Hunter Biden wasn't the president's son, would he have invited someone who had just reached a plea agreement with federal prosecutors 2 days earlier?
A couple of things. Again, that's his son. He's a family member. It is not uncommon for family members to attend events at the White House. You could look at past presidents. I'm sure you have.
She is historic. I don't remember Barron Trump or the Bush twins flouting the law, do you? Hunter Biden may be the only person in the world who can plead guilty to a crime, take off on Air Force One to places like Ireland with the big guy, and then stroll around the White House. Now that's what I call Biden privilege. And when you have stooges like A.G. Garland doing the dirty work, from stalling on charges to tampering with evidence, you can get away with anything. And that's exactly what Merrick Garland did.
U.S. Attorney of Delaware David Weiss tried to bring charges in the District of Columbia around March of 2022 and was denied. Investigators had probable cause to search a Northern Virginia storage unit in which Hunter Biden had stored files. Attorneys for Biden were made aware prior to any search. Unjustified delays pervaded the investigation, including authenticating a WhatsApp message in which Hunter Biden demands payment from Chinese officials, noting that his father is in the room.
Hey, we might raid that unit, might want to take a look. Biden's Department of Justice tipped off raids, shot down charges, and then tried to bury the piece of evidence tying all of it to the big guy, including, as was mentioned, a WhatsApp message where Hunter was demanding money from the Chinese. Here's the quote. "I'm sitting here with my father, and I'll make certain that between the man sitting next to me and every person he knows, that you will regret not following my direction. I'm sitting here waiting for the call with my father like a mafia boss." And the day of that message, Hunter was photographed at the big guy's house. But Joe knows nothing. He was driving around in a convertible. So does it sound like Joe wasn't involved in any of Hunter's shady business dealings? And don't call this Russian disinformation their favorite phrase. Hunter's own attorney confirmed the message. But he just blamed it on Hunter being a crackhead. Here's the quote. "Any verifiable words or actions of my client in the midst of a horrible addiction are solely his own and have no connection to anyone in his family." He went from Hunter did nothing illegal to the he was just as high as a kite defense. But have you ever seen such powerful people go to bat this hard for a druggie? If I don't pay my taxes, Garland's not going to help me. I'm sure, I know, he's not going to help you either. And have you ever seen an attorney general have dinner with the guy he's still investigating? Still slow walking. Well, last night, Garland had a VIP seat to Biden's state dinner, the same dinner Hunter went to. I'm sure they enjoyed the best champagne and vegan delicacies that your tax dollars can pay for. But Garland says he's done everything by the book.
Some have chosen to attack the integrity of the Justice Department and its components and its employees by claiming that we do not treat like cases alike. This constitutes an attack on an institution that is essential to American democracy and essential to the safety of the American people. Nothing could be further from the truth.
But in 2.5 years, while Garland was shutting down the laptop and Biden's bribery scheme, Trump was getting the full force of the FBI. He was getting raided while the Bidens were being tipped off to raids. Trump was getting hit with petty charges, still is, while Hunter was getting real charges dismissed, chopped right off. And if it had the name Biden on it, the FBI, well, they just buried it.
They were told to stand down. That's what our FBI whistleblower told us when we learned of the discovery of the 1023 form that alleged Joe Biden took a bribery from the most trusted, highest paid FBI informant. They were told to stand down. The National Archives, when they were trying to write a story on their website about Joe Biden mishandling classified documents, they were told by the Department of Justice to stand down. When they were looking at the obvious tax violations by the Biden family, they were told to stand down.
Stand down. Haven't heard that word as much since Benghazi. If it wasn't for brave whistleblowers, we wouldn't know any of this. And it wasn't too long ago that if you blew the whistle on the president, you know, the powerful people, you'd never have to buy a drink in Washington, D.C. ever again. But now, if you blow the whistle on Biden, Garland goes after you.
There's a very, very real problem with the retaliation here. And of course, when you look at Chris Clark, Hunter's attorney, he told prosecutors last summer that to charge his client would be career suicide. And so we know that folks are coming for Gary, for the case agent, and so it's really up to Congress to protect them and ensure that they are not further retaliated against.
And what's worse is that they think we're too stupid to see what's going on here. They cover up their crimes and then toast with champagne and laugh at us. They think they're too good to even answer our questions.
Yes or no, was the president involved in the shakedown attempt?
Stephen, I just answered the question. It's not up to you how I answer the question. I just answered the question by telling you my colleagues at the White House Counsel has dealt with this, and I would refer you to them. Go ahead,
My question is about your statements from that podium. You've stated that the president stands by his comment from the 2020 campaign that he never once discussed his son's overseas business dealings with his son. And you stood at that podium and you reaffirmed that. Do you stand by your reaffirmation?
What I will say is nothing has changed.
This is not a change?
I just answered the question. You just asked me, does my statement change? I just told you nothing has changed. That's answering the question. Go ahead.
That's definitely not answering the question. A hedge? Maybe? Probably not. But that's the point. The Bidens will never answer for anything. They'll do the crimes and never pay the time. And no one is allowed to ask any real questions that have to get real answers. Biden told us nobody F's with a Biden. And that might be the truest thing Joe Biden has ever said. You see, the Bidens just F with everyone else and then rub it in your face.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.